Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to tell you about this beauty here. This is Hibiscus syriacus, also known as Rose of Sharon. And before you go, oh, that's an old-fashioned plant, you're absolutely right. She's been around for a long time, but she's invaluable in my mid-July garden. As you can see, she's blooming her head off. This is a variety called Pink Chiffon from Proven Winners, and she's hardy in zones 5 to 8, gets to be about 4 to 6 feet wide and about 10 feet tall, give or take. And I'd say she's probably about 5 feet wide here. This is inside my garden and by the gate, and she's probably about 8 feet tall. So Rose of Sharons are deciduous shrubs, so they lose their leaves in the fall. They bloom on new wood, so you can prune them if you feel like they need it, but I'm a big believer in right plant, right place, and she's perfect right here. So I might prune, if something looks too lanky or just shaping it in late winter, early spring, I will do that. Speaking of late winter, early spring, a lot of people, I get messages from people saying, oh, my Rose of Sharon isn't waking up, or my Hibiscus moschutos. Did I say that right? Anyway, that's a swamp rose mallow. Those are the perennial hibiscus with the big flowers. It's a close cousin. They are late to wake up, so oftentimes you'll think, a lot of people that are not familiar with hibiscus will think their plant is dead. They just don't green up as quickly as the rest of the garden, so be patient. They will get there. Now, when you're thinking about where to put the Rose of Sharon, the more sun, the better. Full day sun, and they will just flower, flower, flower. They will take a half day of sun. The less sun you give them, though, the lankier they're going to be. They may not flower as heavily. They'll be reaching for sunlight. So give them a lot of sun. Give them very good drainage. The best way to kill a Rose of Sharon is to give it a site with poor drainage. And that takes into consideration too what it looks like, what your drainage looks like in the wintertime. I had a Rose of Sharon on the opposite side of my patio many years ago, and it was this place where when we would shovel the snow off the patio, the snow would mound there, and that site would stay wet for a long time. Well, I ended up losing that Rose of Sharon because it was just too wet for too long, in the wintertime too. So great drainage is key. When it comes to planting these guys, I make sure I'm keeping them watered for the first month or two and letting them dry out between waterings, because I want those roots to seek out the water. I don't want to keep it super saturated and end up running the risk of rotting the roots. So you want to get them established that way. I don't fertilize. Once it's established, I might fertilize in early spring if I remember. But for the first couple years, they'll only put on a few inches of growth. And then after that, they might grow a foot or two per season and just keep going for it. So this is covered in flowers and also covered in pollinators. The bumbles and the honeybees love this plant. So I think this is just such an invaluable plant in the midsummer landscape, when there might be a lull in your garden where the flowers are the garden's transitioning from spring, early summer, and then the downtime for a few weeks, and then it picks up again. This kind of bridges the gap and will bloom for up to 2 months, which is such a long bloom season. So if you've got a really tight spot, I have another type of hibiscus, Rose of Sharon, in another part of the garden. It's a purple pillar hibiscus, and it's bred specifically for tight spaces. So it might get about 4 feet wide and about 10 to 16 feet tall. So another way to create screening if you've got a tight spot. The growth habit, the branches are very dense, so you have a really nice screen in the wintertime too. I think I mentioned it's deciduous, so it loses its leaves in the fall, but it flowers constantly and is just a great plant to have in the summer garden. And you're going to be seeing a lot of them right now in garden centers, and that's because they are later to come on as far as flowering is concerned. So you'll be seeing them at the big box stores and the nurseries, and they are just a great addition to the garden. And breeders are putting more work into developing Rose of Sharon. There's ones with variegated foliage. I believe that one's called Sugar Tip. There's also one bred for really tight spaces called Poly Petite, which I believe is a confirmed non-seeder. So Rose of Sharon is kind of notorious for seeding prolifically. The double-flowered varieties are less seedy than other Rose of Sharon. So if seeding is an issue, make sure you're looking into how seedy it is. In my opinion, I've not experienced much reseeding with this plant. This has been in the ground for about 5 years, and maybe a few here and there, but it's nothing that I can't handle. I'll pull a few out. They're easy to pull out, or get in there with a stirrup hoe and rake it out, and they come out easy enough. But it's just a great plant to have for bridging the gap between the early summer flowering and then the later summer flowering plants. Because look at it, it's gorgeous. Also, check your invasive species list in your state to make sure that this is not on it. I believe Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Tennessee, this is on your invasive species list, so you won't want to plant this. But just confirm that before you go ahead and plant this. And enjoy it. Give it full sun, great drainage, and put it in a place where you can admire it, which I love coming to the backyard and just looking at this beauty. And she will flower and flower and flower, and with very little work required from me, which in my opinion, I feel like is a perfect plant. As far as soil is concerned, Rose of Sharon is very tolerant of most soils. I garden in heavy clay soil, and I did amend soil a little bit when I planted her, and she's thriving 5 years later, and she looks like this. It's also very salt tolerant. It's not that deer resistant. Deer tend to gravitate toward this, so I hear. I don't have a deer issue here, but definitely keep that in mind if you do. Also, I don't experience it too much here, but Japanese beetles can be a big problem. Fortunately for me, by the time this flowers, the Japanese beetles are not so much of an issue as they are like when my roses flower earlier in the season. So I don't have many issues with Japanese beetles. So keep all that in mind if you're thinking about growing Rose of Sharon. When I planted this, so when I lift this up, I've got a lot of allium. This is Millennium allium under here. This plant was really small when I planted her, so I put the Millennium allium around it, and she's overgrowing that. So I think I need to bring out some of these stones here and just widen this a little bit, bring out the allium, and yeah, I think everybody will be happier if I do that. And then over to the side here is some Calamintha nepeta, and it's just a really pollinator friendly, low maintenance corner. All right guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.